Hello, everybody. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about strain theory. It's going to be rather a quick video. I'm not going to be talking about too much other than the theory itself, where it came from, the main proprietors of the theory, and just a little about what its relevance is today. So just jumping right in, what is strain theory? Strain theory is a sociological proposal that pressure derived from societal factors such as a lack of income or a lack of quality education drives individuals to commit crime. So this is not a new theory by any means. It's been studied long in the past, the 1930s actually, and a lot of the American sociologist Robert K. Merton, whose work on the subject became really influential in the 50s, and other researchers kind of hopped on this, started doing more research, and they also proposed other theories to kind of go with strain theory, the initial one that Robert K. Merton proposed back in the 30s. So he had a lot of help as the years went on from different criminologists and different researchers, sociologists, some of which being Albert Cohen, Richard Cloward, and Loy Olin. But really, strange theory is a classic theory that primarily focuses on disadvantaged groups, wherein the common aspiration is like realizing the American dream. That's a big takeaway from this theory is there would be no strain theory if there was no goal for people to strive for, because there would be no strain. So a lot of these theories, when you look at them and do research on them, they talk about the American dream as being the driving factor of a lot of people, and that's how strain theory kind of works. Um, it targets the impoverished group mainly. That's the general strain theory and the anemone theory, which I'll touch on a little bit later, but it mainly focuses on people who do not have high income, and that is their biggest strain. And because their motivation is to reach the American dream, they decide to cut corners and commit crime. And interestingly enough, because of systemic issues and history and like the American history of slavery and everything, a lot of this theory will talk about marginalized groups committing most crime because of the situations that they are put into in urban settings. So they don't have the chance for high income prospects. Therefore, committing crime, you see a lot of the disparities in crime being mainly targeted towards marginalized groups such as African Americans and Latinos. Um, but strain theory really has nothing to say about which race is more likely to commit crime. That's not really a thing. It's all based on systemic issues in the history of America and how those groups were placed and brought up in society, causing them to commit crime. And strain theory just tries to bring out a perspective on why those groups may be committing crime based on those systemic issues. Uh, but a little bit on the opposite side of strain theory, where it's not very good at, is actually targeting good explanations for why middle class delinquency is a thing, or just why delinquency is a thing at all. Delinquents, usually being juveniles, they don't really have the ideology or prospects to be aiming for anything like the American dream, so it really doesn't explain why juvenile crime happens, but it was never brought up to explain delinquents or juvenile crime. It was mainly brought up to explain that if people are in low income areas and that is their main strain, that is a reason why they would commit crimes. But there are two big theories that you'll find when it comes to strain theory, apologies. First being the anemone theory, which Robert K. Merton uh, took a different view on this. This was his original theory. It's like a subsection of strain theory, but it's all about low income communities. Um, but anemone theory only strictly followed conventional middle class values, being like the so-called American dream. So he focused on the economic success result in high rates of crime in impoverished areas. So the myth is that hard work will lead to economic prosperity and that all individuals willing to put in the effort have an equal chance of achieving success. That's just not true based on Robert K. Merton's research. It's that the social structure of the United States is not balanced. A lot of people, it's not equal how we would like to think it is. A lot of people don't have the access to education and the income prospects that other people do. And that is really seen through races. An African American is not like as likely to make as much as a white male is. So an African American male not making as much as a white male or a Caucasian male. Um, but really, anemone theory just focuses on the income aspect of it. Institutional anemone theory is Stephen Messner and Richard Rosenfield's ideas that they're not taking in, like the original theory doesn't take into account the influences of family and education, which it doesn't. It really does only focus on low income as the driving factor in financials. But when you really look at it, a strain can be taken into the emotional aspect, family aspect, and educational aspect. Not everyone has the equal chance of getting a well well put together education, or some people grow up without parents. Some people just don't have a family in general. There are a lot of strains that people can have put on them. And because of the social structure of America, due to its history, a lot of people are put, four steps behind some others, and that's a big strain, and that's a big reason why people may be more willing to commit crime. There's just a lack of equity, if you will, when it comes to social standards in America. And this isn't to like disparage any groups or say that hard work doesn't mean anything. It's not really about that. It's just giving a little bit more light into what this theory is trying to explain. And, it's really just trying to explain why people might commit crime, and that's really all. Um, but that's all I really have to talk about on strain theory. It's a really interesting theory. I do think it has a lot of credibility in today's climate. There is a lot of people who struggle with a lot of financial issues, and there's tons of mental health issues going around now. And all these things are big strains, and that could easily be why a person may decide to cut corners and commit a crime, starting up an illegal side business here, skimming a few dollars from a cash register here, because people are going through a lot of difficult things, and not everyone gets an equal shake at life. So there's definitely some relevance to this theory. It definitely holds strong. It explains a lot of why crime may be committed. It does have a few holes in it, but as with every theory, you're going to have that. It is a theory after all. Nothing's perfect, but I do think it has a really good explanation on why a lot of individuals will commit crimes, and I think strain theory is just a really, really strong criminological theory out there. But with that being said, it is just a theory. I would like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.